everybody, and welcome live to Double Play CLE. It's a late night edition of the show here because your boys are late night guys, and that's just what we do. Paul here alongside Jay, the ever mute Jay. And tonight we want to talk about the end, not of this show, but of the 2023 Cleveland Guardians season. Unfortunately, it did not go the way we thought it would. I know a lot of people, especially here on Believeland Media, picked them to have a deep, long postseason run, and unfortunately, we exited in third place with the Detroit Tigers besting us, which I believe somebody on this very panel said was going to happen about 6 or 7 months ago. And everybody said I was crazy then. Look at me now, suckers. That's a
like
cheap
two
shot
games ahead of us, and we gave up like a month and a half ago, but whatever.
I know, but that's a little cheap shot at Papa Kev, because everybody during the Cleveland Guardians preview earlier this year looked at me crazy when I said, oh yeah, the team you have to watch out for is going to be the Detroit Tigers. They're going to finish second at some point.
Okay.
I did say they would never lead, so I was
Statement's
right
like
about that
half
as well.
true.
I was right. Just
Okay,
take
they
the win and
finished
move
in
on.
second because we couldn't get 70 wins. So
Yeah, it was a disappointing end to the season, 66 and 71. I know a lot of people had us pegged to at least go 82, but some were going 90, even 95 wins, and it just wasn't there. I think we
I'm
talked
deathly
about
sick.
this.
So if you guys see me muting and blowing my nose, that's what I'm doing. I'm sorry.
Definitely sick, but I'm here for you guys. Um, Unfortunately, I think it all goes back to something that we talked about a lot here on this program over the course of the last 6 months, and that's the injuries at the start of the season. Tristan McKenzie really set the tone for this season. It was very tough to bounce back from losing a key piece of your rotation and then relying on an unproven rookie to carry that load, and then to do that again and again and again. I mean, it was great to see guys like Gavin Williams and Tanner Bybee, Hunter Gaddis to a much, much lesser extent. But those can't be your workhorses. Those can't be your anchors, right?
Why not?
I mean, if you have one that works, but you can't rely on somebody who hasn't gone the full MLB season to give you the full MLB season. I mean, they were already talking about shutting down Tanner Bybee in what, August?
That's because he was hurt.
But they were talking about that before he was injured, and that's my concern, is that this is one of the key pieces of that rotation for 2023. And you had to talk about limiting his innings because he's a rookie that you don't want to stretch too far. So for
My
me, it's
my
frustration.
talking is going to be limited and short today. So anything I say on this broadcast, I need everyone to take with giant weight. And it is with a heavy heart that I say this entire season fell because Tito lost his touch on managing a baseball club.
I disagree with you entirely on that.
Sure, of course you'll disagree with me entirely. How many of the players we traded away are going to the playoffs?
Josh Bell and Ahmed Rosario.
And Aaron Savali.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Savali. My bad.
And Austin
Okay.
Hedges.
What?
And Yandy Diaz. And Harold Ramirez. And Yanier Diaz.
Okay, but you're
And Will Benson is 1 year off of going to the playoffs every year for the next 5-6 years.
so you're saying the Cincinnati Reds are legit?
Of course they're legit. I don't see why they wouldn't be, especially if they rebolster themselves. However, I'm not going to let you skate over the fact that every player that we traded away because they were having a bad season, or they weren't doing this, or they weren't worth their weight, is now in the playoffs, and the rest of us are sitting at home on the couch.
No,
And
and
I won't glaze over that. I refuse to.
I'm not gonna glance over it either. I'm gonna look at it and be honest. Do you really think Josh Bell was the key ingredient to getting this Guardians team to the playoffs?
Was one oh, excuse me, hold on. Oh, that one was nasty. Was Josh Bell the one piece? No, but he could have been a piece if we could have learned how to manage Ahmed better. We gave up Aaron Savale, our only, like you were just bitching about, our only person that had any type of not only veterancy, but veterancy within the club. Like he's been with Cleveland for however many years now. I don't know. I'm not like, you know, I don't. It's tough because I don't want to do this with Tito retiring, but I think it's unfair to the Guardians organization to not look at it. Is all I'm saying. It's tough to see that and not question what the hell happened. Oh, sure, we can take the easy route and blame all the injuries. Sure, because no other team at all had injuries this year, right?
Not as many had them right at the start of the season, though. And that was what we were
Houston was
talking about.
missing their best bat for how long?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
But
Also,
they were able
Seattle
to recover.
sucks.
They were
Seattle
able to
sucks.
recover.
I told you Seattle sucks. I
Seattle
told you Seattle sucks.
does not.
Seattle and Tampa Bay both suck. Oh, I'm losing you. Is that my fault? Oh, nope, there you are. Okay. I lost you for a second. No, you were like glitching real bad.
Seattle does not suck. They're just.
Do we suck?
Do you want me to answer that honestly?
Yeah, because you want to say yes, and if we suck, then Seattle sucks. It's pretty simple.
I think this Guardians team was put together with an expectation that was a little bit outside of the box. I don't think we were strong enough to maintain the AL Central, which is hard to say when the AL Central wasn't that good to begin with. But you look
Yeah,
at
and
the
the
teams
Twins
that
are going
made
to
it,
be a horrible representation.
they are. They're getting swept. I hope people understand that. They are getting absolutely swept in their
No,
homes in
I'm getting a
two
little bit of my
games.
muscle
Boom,
back from
gone.
working overnights again.
Oh my
Okay.
God. I think Minnesota's getting swept by Toronto. I think Toronto's
Oh,
going in there,
I don't
boom,
know.
boom,
I
and
don't
they're
know.
done.
I don't know about swept because I feel like it's just hard in baseball to complete sweeps, but
Well,
they're definitely going to lose.
agree with you, but remember, it's only a 3 game series in the wild card round.
Yeah, okay. It's a
Not
three-game series,
easy
most
to.
of the series we play
Oh,
normally.
I'm not.
So
I'm not denying that. But I think Minnesota is a product of stagnation, but a stagnation that works. Whereas the Guardians were a product of stagnation that didn't work. And I know that sounds a little bit weird to say it, but you look at Minnesota, 87 and 75, 7 and 3 in their last 10, and a plus 119 run differential. All of that sounds great. But then you look at some of the teams, the rest of the teams in the AL Central, and you're talking about under 500, under 500, well under 500 with a minus 200 run differential. Minnesota didn't have a hard bar to climb here. It's kind of like limboing under a 10-foot high limbo bar. As long as you can get under that sucker, you're fine. And I think
yeah,
that's what Minnesota got.
at least our best pitchers got injured. Their best pitcher just ended up sucking.
Which one?
Sonny Gray, that dude. Well, he had a good first half, but he kind of fell off.
He
So
did kind of fall off. You could argue Pablo Lopez. Minnesota, in and of itself, is going to be
why are you just staring at me over there, bro?
interesting to watch. Your cat.
Can
But
I
I mean,
help you?
did any of us think the Chicago White Sox were going to have 101 losses?
I didn't even know they had 101 losses.
Kansas City at 106. Oakland with the league worst 112 losses.
Yeah, I didn't know
These
the
are,
White Sox had like a middle of the pack payroll.
well,
They
I think a
suck.
lot of it is they're just not ready to commit, and they did get some new leadership in the front end office. I think Chicago is going to be a threat to the AL Central,
Yeah,
but
you
it's
say
going to
that every
be
year.
no. I'm usually the one who says Chicago isn't going to be the threat, but I think Chicago will be a threat in 3 to 5 years. They need a full cycle to get back into things. I don't think this team that they've got right now is quite constructed for this. I will say Detroit, I think, is constructed for this. And I think they proved it over the course of this. You can't look at a team that goes 78 and 84 with only a minus 79 run differential and go, they're not ready. I think Detroit is going to surprise a lot of people next year. I'm
Yeah, but who's their
almost
best player?
Spencer Torkelson right now. I know that their pitching is young, and I get that. But I think Detroit is more prepared for the future than Cleveland is. And that's my biggest concern. You talked about the impending retirement, I guess we should still say, because he technically hasn't said that he's retiring, but Terry Francona, Tito, leaving after 11 seasons with Cleveland.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. It's a little disrespectful if you ask me.
Honestly,
I don't
I'm
know.
worried that people don't understand how much of a figure he is in this team and how different this is going to look next year. I think you're going to see one of two things happen with the Cleveland Guardians in 2024. Either A, we're going to struggle really bad, or B, they're going to blow up this team and start over. And I'm leaning towards B. I think they're going to blow it up. But there was a lot of fun to be had at the corner of Carnegie on Ontario. Jose Ramirez did Jose Ramirez things. And we've talked about this a few different times. We've talked about Emmanuel Clase, how he's struggled. He's blown 12 saves this season. But he led the league with 42 saves this year. And that's really stunning to me. I think a lot of that is just simply wrong place, wrong time for him, getting brought into games that he probably didn't need to be into. And I'll give you that that could be Tito reaching a bit. But realistically, we have the best closer in Major League Baseball right now. And we should be able to handle 1 or 2 run games. And for whatever reason, 12 blown saves. That's concerning for me. I want to see Clase bounce back a little bit. Maybe it's the cutter isn't quite where he wants it to be. I don't know. But man, there's a lot of questions to be had with that. I'm sorry, 44 saves, excuse me. And maybe it's just we're so used
So
to.
so so he leads the league in saves.
Yes, 44 saves. In fact,
How many saves did he have last year?
why would you ask me that right now?
Why would you not have that ready?
Why would I not
It's
have
a
that
it's
ready?
it's
Because
it's it's a pretty simple comparison. Let's see how he did to last year. It's
that's a
usually what you
fair
do.
statement.
Usually, what you do when you talk about sports. I'm pretty sure that's around the same. I want to say he had like
Actually,
42
more.
last
He
year,
had
like 38.
42 last year. Yeah,
Oh,
42,
get
44.
on my level. You hear me? I just read that stat to
Yes,
you.
yes, yes, you did. So he's on pace for 46 saves next season based on the law of averages here.
So he went up 2 saves and we're
But
concerned about the 12 blown saves.
and you're not?
I 110% am not. Not at all.
Why
It's
not?
not our fault. It's not our fault we use them every fucking game. Like, what is
75
he
games
supposed
this
to
season.
do?
Yeah,
75 games?
75 games.
75 games? That's what? That's 20 games off of literally half your games. How many games do you play in an MLB season?
162.
So that's 10 games off of half your games. You're telling me half of the games you played this season, you had to use a closer. Like, yeah, that's not supposed to happen. So,
Well,
no, I'm not that worried about it.
before you jump down Tito's throat on that,
I'm not jumping
Cincinnati,
down Tito's throat necessarily. I'm not saying it's a mismanaged play. I'm saying we suck, and we're playing one-run games all the fucking time. So, what do?
well, I was
You
just
bring
going to
in the
point out
best closer in baseball. Right.
Cincinnati's closer, Alexis Diaz, 71 games. He had 37 saves, 40 save opportunities, so that's 3 blown. He also went 9-6 with a 3.07 ERA. So it's not like this
Well,
is
you said he played
uncommon.
how many games?
71. So he was only 4 off from Class A. And it's
Wait,
funny because you look at the comparison here.
how
Class
does he
A
not have more
72.
saves then? I'm confused.
That's a good question. Class A had 72 and 2/3 innings versus Diaz's 67 and a third. However, Class A gave up 68 hits versus 44, 37 runs versus 30, 26 earned versus 23. Interestingly enough, they both gave up the same amount of home runs.
If I had
Diaz
anything to
also,
complain about Class A, it would be them hits. It's not
the
even the
thing
blown
is,
saves. He gives up a lot of fucking hits and draws the game out, which is bad for him, me, and everyone else watching. So
the thing that I think works against Alexis Diaz and works well for Class A. Class A only had 16 walks versus 36 for Diaz. And that's probably where things get elongated for
well, that
Diaz
was
as
going to be
opposed to
my
Class A.
biggest argument is you're talking about they have the same amount of home runs, but Class A has like about half the walks. That's because he fills up the strike zone. Class A just pitches in the strike zone 9 times out of 10. So he's going to get homered. It's going to happen. He's going to
Just
get
looking
hit. It's going to happen, especially if you put it in the strike zone 9 times out of 10,
just looking at the top
which
5 in
I'm not mad
saves.
at personally.
Fair enough. The top 5 in saves, by the way, Emmanuel Clase, David Bednar from the Pittsburgh Pirates, who at one point was a trade chip, didn't end up leaving Pittsburgh, and you wonder if that could have
The
changed
only
things for him or for one of the prospective teams that was in the hunt for the playoffs. Uh,
the only time I seen
Camilo
him this
Delal.
year, it was him giving up a save.
Good God. Camilo
I mean,
Duvall
it's
from San
true.
Francisco, Diaz from Cincinnati, and Toronto's Jordan Romano rounds
It's that
things
guy
out with
from San
36.
Francisco. That's the guy. That's if I didn't want Class A, I would want him. Duval, is that his name?
Camilo Duvall, he had 39
Yeah.
saves in 67 and 2/3. He actually, of the top 5, had the most strikeouts of the top 5 closers, 87 Ks for Duvall. It's
The
a little
fact
bit of a
that
shame that San Francisco actually ended up dismissing their manager, Gabe Kapler, because I think that was a mistake, but that's a whole nother can of worms than what we can get into at the moment. Overall, I want to ask you what your top
sorry,
3
I'm trying to smack that. There's like
memories.
a mosquito or something in here, dude. Get the hell out of here.
I want to ask you your top 3 memories from this 2023 Cleveland Guardians season.
I don't know. Probably the walk off, but that's about it, dude. What the hell is this mosquito or something? Pissing me off.
We're live, folks. That happens.
Well, it's like
Mosquitoes
flying
get
in
into
my.
the
I
studio.
don't know how the hell there's a mosquito in the freaking house. It's just on my cat. I like bopped her in the head, not thinking about it. She like ran away. I was like, "Oh, I'm trying to kill the mosquito."
My God.
Probably the walk off.
You'll have to be
Um,
more specific. We actually did have a couple of walk-offs.
no, we didn't. Not the one that you and I went to.
Yes, but our fans watching probably aren't fully aware of which walk-off you're talking about, which would be
I
the
think I got him that time,
RBI, the
which was
two-run
totally worth
double,
slapping my glasses off. Sorry, go ahead.
the two-run double from Jose Ramirez against was it the Angels, I believe?
Was it the Angels?
I think it might have been the Angels. I'm gonna have to double check that real quickly now.
The Cardinals.
It
The
was the Card.
Cardinals.
No, it wasn't the Cardinals. I went to the Cardinals with Henry.
Are you sure it wasn't the Cardinals? It was a
No,
red
because
team. You're definitely right about it being a red team.
no, it was the Cardinals because I went to the Angels. The Angels was on Mother's Day.
Guess who's right? Twice in one show already.
My God,
Actually, 3 times.
why are you
That
counting?
the 42 saves from Class A last year. Oh, I can't remember the other thing. I just
My
had it
God.
too. Oh, in the Cardinals.
Yeah, poor Cardinals.
Ha,
That did
fuck the
not go well for them.
Cardinals. Stupid fucking Cardinals. I warned them. That's what they get for being a bunch of pieces of shit. I warned them.
What do you have against the Cardinals, who finished 71 and 91?
The Cardinals, because that whole Ian Happ situation, that shit was bullshit. And I still think that.
I know at one point you were talking that Ali Marmol, their manager, probably should have lost his job. You still on that
I
train
don't
of
know
thought?
about lost his job. I don't necessarily think anyone should lose their job unless they're cheating or beating the shit out of someone or beating their wife or using steroids or you know what I mean. But
Sorry, there's a weird list there.
well, I'm just like that's cheating. Using steroids is cheating. As much as I would be okay with them using steroids, it's cheating under current rules. So, um, I don't think he should lose his job. No, I mean I totally believe that I said that. I don't remember saying that, but I totally believe that I would say that. But I don't. I just think it was dumb. Of course, referring to was Ian Happ the batter or the catcher?
I believe he's the batter.
And whoever the catcher was, Contreras,
Wilson Contreras, because they
just
had played
just
together
just came
with the
from the
Cubs.
Cubs. Yeah, yeah. And Ian Happ accidentally hit him in the head with his bat on his backswing. And then the very next pitch, they tried to hit him, and then they missed, and then he went and hit him, and it was just. Listen, I don't know. I don't know. I've never felt so confrontational over something so stupid because you get in the comments of like Facebook or anything else. There's plenty of people in like, that's baseball. You got to stick up for your teammate, blah, 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 blah. Like, yeah, but there was no intent. He wasn't trying to fucking hurt him. They hugged it out, blah, 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 blah. Feel free to go look it up. I just told you the two people who it are. John Boy does a thing on it, but I'm not going to drag it out. I've already talked about it on like 3 or 4 other episodes, but they pissed me off with that shit. And then the pitcher was like, "What?" Like that was the part that really made me mad. Like, dude, shut the fuck up and just leave. Like, why? What are you talking about? I was like, bro, oh my. He's like, I didn't do it on purpose. Like, dude, you hit him in the ass. Like, where the hell were you aiming at then? That's all. I personally was ever since that moment have rooted against the Cardinals.
So I was just looking at something, and I found a fascinating statistic about this upcoming postseason that I wanted to throw at you because I like numbers. That's what we do here. That's what baseball is. Baseball is a statistics based game. Run differential has become a very important stat because it shows who's scoring and who isn't. There are only 2 teams in the postseason with a minus run differential. And I just find this incredibly unbelievable because every team in the American League side of the bracket has a plus run differential. But 2 of the postseason challengers have a minus run differential. The Miami Marlins at a minus 56 and the Arizona Diamondbacks at minus 15. Now, 15 is kind of negligible, but 56 is not. And Miami is going into a little bit of a tough battle here. They're going up against the Philadelphia Phillies in the wild card round, and you know Citizens Bank Park is going to be rocking. The Phillies want to finish what they started last year.
Nah, Phillies ain't doing nothing.
I could see that being a two-game sweep as well. I think it's going to be Toronto and Philadelphia are going to go for the sweeps in the wild card. Personally, that's just me. But also, there is one team with a plus run differential that did not make the playoffs in the American League and then one in the National League. Or sorry, two in the National League. Can you guess those three teams?
No.
So in the American League, it's the Seattle Mariners with a plus 99 run differential. Remember, they were only one game away
sucks.
from the wild card.
They suck. They suck. FFFLLLLLL.
The Chicago Cubs finished with a plus 96 run differential, one game from the wild card as well. And then the San Diego Padres had a plus 104 run differential, 2 games out of the wild card. I think what that means to me, and something that the Cleveland Guardians of 2024 might want to take into consideration, you got to score runs if you want to make a playoff run, because the teams that didn't aren't even close.
I mean, Miami's in there.
The exception to the rule in this case, though, they kind of hobbled in there.
I don't know.
And the weird thing about
that doesn't really tell you anything, to be honest.
I'll give you that, but here's an interesting stat about Miami. Their win-loss record against 500 or better teams, 38-50. You're going up against plus 500 teams in the postseason almost exclusively. That doesn't bode well for a Miami Marlins team that needs a little bit of help, but has a very interesting young team. So we got your first moment there. What is your second moment of the 2023 Guardians season?
Oh, you're really drawing this out, huh? I don't. What are yours?
Mine? Well, I'm surprised you didn't mention Jose Ramirez going to a first-round TKO.
I wasn't there for that one. I thought you were talking about.
No, just in general. Just in general.
I don't know. I hate when you do this to me. I'm not prepared for this, and then there's just radio silence.
We fill that with happiness and hope. Okay, maybe the Guardian season didn't go that well, but how about the entire baseball season?
I was just gonna say, there's nothing to freaking talk about. That's like, what is there to talk about?
I think we saw a lot of promise out of
The Yankees sucked.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. You know, this is the first time in a very long time that the postseason will not feature a New York,
the Yankees, the Boston Red Sox,
team.
or the St. Louis Cardinals.
It's absolutely amazing because if you had guessed Baltimore was going to take the American League East at the beginning of this season and not only win it, but with 101 wins, you would have been laughed out of the building. I know MLB Network even joked about it. They thought, the American League East got turned upside down almost literally because it's normally Boston, New York, Toronto, and instead we're sitting here with Baltimore, Tampa, Toronto. I'm very eager to see what happens in this postseason. One of the big stories in the 2023 MLB season was the rule changes, specifically the pitch clock, as well as the larger bases, causing us to have more balls in play and more run support. There was a lot of base running this year, and we set stolen base records for teams and rookies. And I find it fascinating that something as simple as the stolen base is not only back, but really helping make this game exciting. You can't argue that the excitement level when Ronald Acuna Jr. basically created the 40-70 club isn't something that we're going to look back on in years to come as a highlight of the 2023
And
season.
say the only reason he got that is because they made the bases larger.
I don't think so, because I really don't
Then
think
where were they
that.
the last 5 years? That's a terrible argument.
No, and I'm glad you said that, because I think a lot of the problem with the lack of stolen bases was the analytics behind it. A lot of the analytics experts would tell you that stolen bases were a bad gamble. And now you have
they
two
are on
chances.
fucking 2K. I can tell you that much.
Oh God, yes.
The show, I mean.
Yeah. Well, pretty much everything offensive in the show is a gamble. But that's a whole other can of worms to get into. It was fun though. It was fun to see the stolen base back, and it's been one of the things that I look back on as a fan of baseball back in the day. I loved the stolen base. I loved seeing guys like Lofton and Vizquel running, trying to make havoc on the base paths, trying to get that extra base. And while I don't think that you can apply that exclusively to the larger bases, I do think it had a little bit of help with it. I think it was just a matter of finally convincing people, hey, go for it. Let the kids play. We've heard that said ad nauseum for the last 2 or 3 years since MLB started that campaign. This year feels like they actually did. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, you look at some of the people who had stolen bases. With respect to Jose Ramirez, he's not exactly known for his speed. It's a tool that he has in his tool belt. But you look at a guy who's driving in runs and hitting for power more than anything with him. To see him on the base paths, it was kind of refreshing. And I mean, realistically, this season was a lot of fun in terms of the entirety of Major League Baseball. There were a ton of records set. Over 1.5 million fans for 17 of the teams this season. I believe it was 10 teams hit over 2 million fans through the gates. It's great to see baseball back where it needs to be, back where it should have always been. Fun, exciting, and everybody getting out to the ballpark and having a good time.
Yes, sir.
Let's take a look at the 2023 MLB postseason. No, the Guardians are not in it, but that doesn't mean you can't enjoy the excitement starting Tuesday afternoon at 3 p.m. There's going to be 4 games on. It's going to be baseball nirvana. And I'm very eager to get your thoughts on these 4 matchups, because Baltimore and Houston with the first round bye in the American League, Atlanta,
tell me who you think's going to win it already.
Atlanta and LA with the first round bye in the National League.
God,
I'm getting there. I'm setting the stage. That's how you do
we
this.
we know the bracket.
Do you know the bracket? Tell me the bracket.
I don't care what the bracket is, but I know who's in it.
Bracket matters.
I know Atlanta, Baltimore, LA. I don't know who the 4th person is that has a bye.
I just said it.
I know, but I wasn't listening because I just want you to skip to who you think's going to win already. Hold on.
And Houston.
Houston won the division?
Houston won the division, yes. Which is actually interesting because it bounced Texas all the way to the 5 seed, where they're playing against Tampa. They don't even have home field advantage at any point in the postseason. That's a huge disadvantage for them. Keep in mind, their field, Globe Life Park, has hosted over 20 postseason games. Not a single one of them has featured the Texas Rangers. And as of right now, if Texas loses to Tampa in the wild card round, that could continue. Toronto and
I don't think
Minnesota,
Texas does anything.
I don't know. It's tough because Bruce Bochy, I love Bruce Bochy. I loved him when he was with the San Francisco Giants. I've loved what he brings in terms of his passion and skill. I think he's one of the most underrated managers in Major League Baseball. And having 3 World Series championships shouldn't make you underrated. But I think a lot of people sleep on him, and they shouldn't. That said, Texas and Tampa is going to be the toughest matchup to pick from. Both teams have a lot to prove because they just missed out on the division. I've already mentioned that I think Toronto is going to sweep Minnesota, so that would make a Toronto-Houston ALDS. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay over Texas, and the reason being, I have my reservations about Texas. Something there just doesn't click for me, and it might be the effect of Aroldis Chapman. I don't know, but I'm going Tampa. I'm going Tampa Bay and Baltimore in the ALDS. So that's Toronto and Houston in the ALDS. I like Toronto, but Houston is always going to be a threat, and I think they're going to the ALCS. I think they'll take it in 4 games. I do think Toronto will put up a hell of a fight. I would love to see Vlad Guerrero Jr. go off. I would love to see Toronto just steamroll Houston just to send a message. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think Houston takes that. And then you've got Tampa Bay and Baltimore. Look, if you're asking me who's my team in this whole entire postseason that I'm rolling with, there are 2 teams. On the AL side, it's the Baltimore Orioles. On the NL side, it's the Milwaukee Brewers. And I think Baltimore can easily put away Tampa Bay, but I do think that series will go 5, which sets up the Houston-Baltimore ALCS. And that's a tough one. That is very tough. With Baltimore having home field in that, my heart wants to go Baltimore there and take them to the World Series. But Houston's got Yordan Alvarez, and he is always a threat in the postseason. He is a dangerous hitter, and very few people have been able to figure out how to stop this guy. As much as I love Baltimore, I think I'm taking Houston all the way through to the American League World Series American League side. Who do you have on the American League side?
I'm going to tell you my whole thing since you're going to do another whole ass long-winded thing for the NL. So hurry up.
Okay. For the National League wildcard, Arizona travels to Milwaukee. Arizona
Oh my
is
God,
very.
what a shit show. We're better than both those fucking teams. How disgraceful.
I like Milwaukee.
I didn't say I
Arizona.
didn't like Milwaukee. I said we're better than both those teams.
I want to see if Corbin Carroll can shine on the big stage for Arizona. How he goes is how this entire series will go for Arizona. Is he ready? Is he not? I'm going to go Milwaukee, and I'm going to go with a little bit of wisdom and experience, especially with Craig Counsell, their manager, who is rumored to possibly be taking over the New York Mets job in 2024. That sets up a Milwaukee and LA Dodgers NLDS. On the other wild card, Miami and Philadelphia. This is very much a coin flip to me. Philadelphia has a lot of heart, a lot of toughness, and we talked about it earlier. They have unfinished business. That can
Yeah,
motivate
so did
anybody.
we in 2017. Philadelphia
And that's
ain't doing
exactly
shit.
what I was going to get to. But I just don't see it with Miami. Sandy Alcantara was not the same pitcher that he was
I
last
could
season.
see Philadelphia beating Miami, but I don't see them going back to the World Series. That's for sure.
I've got Philly over Miami, but I would not be surprised if that's the 5-4 upset of the postseason.
Yeah.
I really call that a coin flip. That sets up a Philadelphia Atlanta NLDS, and earlier we talked about the Milwaukee Los Angeles NLDS. The Dodgers are the Dodgers, man. Unless you can stop them, they're just going to keep going. And every time we think they're out, they just retool and go for it again. I'm not a Dodgers fan by any stretch, you're going to tell me that the way they're handling Ahmed Rosario is unbelievably godlike, and I can't argue that point. They have used Ahmed Rosario way better than the Cleveland Guardians did. Does that mean he's going to be the reason that they win the World Series?
No, I
Probably
never said
not.
that.
Probably not.
I
But
never said that.
it always seems like it's one of those tertiary players that you're just like, I didn't see that coming. And for the Dodgers, they
You,
have one of those.
you didn't see that coming.
Okay, fair. But I don't think if it's going to be anybody, that it's going to be Ahmed Rosario. I think it's going to be Kike Hernandez, who they picked up at the trade deadline. Kike Hernandez seems to.
You don't need Ahmed to be the fucking hero. You just need Ahmed to play his role.
Well, Kike Hernandez just seems to find his way into the postseason every single year. He's kind of like this red herring of postseason contention. And I'm a fan of Kike. I think he's going to lead the Dodgers past the Brewers in the NLDS. I think he could be the quote unquote MVP of that. They don't give an MVP for the NLDS, although they probably should. So I've got the Dodgers.
Freddie Freeman or Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts, that's absolutely like on fire.
I was going to save that for my NLCS because I've got the Atlanta Braves going past Philadelphia Phillies. And honestly, I think that's going to be a sweep.
No,
I think Atlanta's just
going to. It'd be funny
to.
to watch Atlanta fall in their first series in the playoffs 2 years in a row. That shit would be hilarious.
I don't think it's going to happen twice. I don't
think
so.
It won't happen this year. They're pretty pissed off. You can tell.
Oh, yeah.
But it would still be funny if it did. I'm going to be rooting for Philly. I don't know. I got a chip on my shoulder about Atlanta. I don't know what it is. I couldn't tell you what it is. I just.
But that sets up the NLCS of the Dodgers and the Braves. And that's where I was going to get into the 1-2 punch. Acuna and Olsen, Betts and Freeman. Remember, there were fans that were angry in Atlanta that they let Freddie Freeman go. And now Matt Olson is over here setting records, franchise records for Atlanta.
Well, it's funny.
In terms of RBIs and runs scored.
Between the four of them, I'd probably take Acuna first.
100%.
However, I would in turn take Freddie Freeman and then Mookie Betts and Matt Olson last. So do with that what you will.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that, unfortunately. Mookie Betts
and
is consistent.
I like Freddie better than Mookie. That's just me. I think Freddie's an absolute fucking monster.
What I like about Mookie is that Mookie Betts can play a lot of different positions very, very well. Like, this guy can play the infield and the outfield. That's a rarity nowadays.
Could you imagine
to have that flexibility in the postseason?
Not even that, but just look at like the player he is. Like that won a championship in Boston, a huge city, huge money city. And then was he on the 2020 Dodgers?
I believe so.
So like, I'm pretty sure he was too.
I think he was.
To go from a city like Boston on one side of the country and play for a high money ball team and win, then to go to literally the other side of the country and play for arguably the biggest money ball team that's not the Yankees or the Mets. So it's good for him. That's a crazy life if you think about it. Like Boston, and he was part of that.
Yes, he was.
He was part of the beard thing, right, for Boston? Like, because that was crazy. So, yeah, so he's a 2-time World Series champion then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah.
Dodgers, Braves. I think it's the Braves. I know this is going to sound cliched, but man, they looked like a completely different team. Like, they absolutely embarrassed their opponents at times. I remember the series that they came to Cleveland and played us and took 2 out of 3, and the only reason we got 1 is just because we got lucky. We got lucky in the game we won against them. They absolutely annihilated us. 4th of July week, as I recall correctly, and they just dominated. And that's kind of when I made my decision that the World Series champions are going to be the Atlanta Braves.
Crazy.
And I think the MVP is going to be Spencer Strider.
Yeah, but over who and how many games? I need the whole line so I can put
The,
a bet
Atla-
on it.
the Atlanta Braves over the Houston Astros
What a terrible World Series.
in 5 games. This is going to be complete and total domination. I think Atlanta has proven with this entire season, they are out for blood. There is only one thing stopping Atlanta, and that's Atlanta themselves. You can't look at their run differential, 231, plus 231, I should be more specific, a home record of 52 and 29, a road record of the same, a win-loss record of 3 against plus 500 opponents. Like, they just absolutely trounced everybody. And it's kind of surprising, really, because you look at Baltimore, and they have a very similar record. Plus 129 differential, 49 and 32 at home, 52 and 29 on the road, and 51 and 39 against 500 or better teams. So it's not like Baltimore shouldn't be in that World Series. And honestly, Houston being a 42 and 43 against 500 or better teams is a little bit concerning. Houston also struggled at home to a 39 and 42 record at home. I just think Houston is getting hot at the right time, and we talk about this. Momentum is key in the postseason. The only thing working against Houston right now is they're going to sit for 3 days and watch the wild card series. Same thing with Atlanta. And Atlanta's already talking about the fact they're not going to do what they did last year. They're going to have simulated games that are going to be open to the fans to make sure they're ready and that they don't have
Yeah,
to
they
get
better not
ready.
do what they did last year, otherwise they'd be fucking idiots.
They're not going to get ready. They're going to stay ready. That means that there is one goal, one focus, and they are all on board.
To lose.
I think Atlanta is going to, I don't think it's going to be a surprise, to be honest. I think everybody and their brother should be looking at Atlanta and going, okay, this is the team. And if I'm Philadelphia or Miami, I'm almost looking ahead. If I can get that first win out of the way on Tuesday, I'm kind of looking ahead towards Atlanta and making sure that I'm ready to go. And I know that's not how you're supposed to do things. You're supposed to make sure you get your current opponent out of the way. But realistically, whoever comes out of that series has the toughest test of any team in the entire postseason. And you're already going to have taxed yourself in a battle between arguably two of the best in the NL East.
So the Baltimore Orioles are going to do a fairy tale run just like the Philadelphia Phillies. Unfortunately for the Baltimore Orioles, it's going to end just like the Philadelphia Phillies postseason career ended in 5 games to the LA Dodgers.
So you're going Baltimore, LA with an LA championship win.
Yeah, I think everyone's sleeping on LA. I think that's their biggest thing right now is everyone's just like it's just LA. It's just LA. They crank out I don't know how many home runs a night. And just like you said, they're sneakily good. They're pitching. I don't even know who their pitchers are, but they're decent. I don't even know who their pitchers are, but they're good enough. Do they still use Clayton Kershaw?
This is arguably his final season with the Dodgers, and I know that they would like to send him out with a bang, quote unquote. The Dodgers have a strong team. They're the number 2 seed for a reason. And I'm not going to deny that the Dodgers could very easily take the whole thing.
You thought I was going to pick the Orioles.
I did. I really thought you were.
You know what? Like I'm 100% okay with being wrong if they win, but I don't really think they have the manpower or the veterancy.
Are they your dark horse, though?
No, they're not.
who would
I
be
don't know
your
who my
dark
dark
horse?
horse is. I don't know.
Okay. My dark horse is going to probably
I
be,
want to say Philly, but I don't know.
I think,
Because I think Philly's gonna suck. I really don't think they have anything that they had last year. Kyle Schwarber fucking sucks. Like I don't think they have anything that they had last year. I don't.
you
And
don't
I
think
like
Bryce
Philly.
Harper's that guy?
I don't think Bryce Harper can do it by himself. So
Trey
I do
Turner
think
not going to
Bryce
be a
Harper is
big,
that guy. Bryce Harper, arguably one of my like top 5 baseball players off of the Guardians. Arguably top 2 with Vlad. I do love me some Bryce Harper, but I don't think so. Toronto, actually. There you go. Toronto's probably a good dark horse. You know, Bo Bichette. Bo Bichette's a fucking monster. Who's that other dude they have?
George
Wait,
Springer.
no. I'm thinking of fucking Kansas City, Bobby Witt. Um, George Springer, and they still got Vlad. They got that Gossman pitcher. He's pretty good. I'd take him any day of the week.
I believe he's currently lined up to start game 1 for Toronto.
Yeah, he's their ace, if I'm not mistaken. Their closer isn't bad.
Jordan Romano, top 5
Yeah.
in saves in the majors this season.
Yeah, so I think they're going a little under the radar, especially who wouldn't take that closer on their team? Who wouldn't take Gossman on their team? Who wouldn't take Vlad or Bo Bichette? I'd take all 4 of those guys on my team any day of the week, with the exception of the closer, simply because I have Class A. But that's a different story in itself.
I think my dark horse, because I feel like the dark horse is basically playing in the wild card round.
You're gonna say Milwaukee.
I think Arizona. If they get past Milwaukee
I keep
and they get
forgetting
hot,
Arizona's in the playoffs.
a lot of people are, and I think that's what's working to their advantage. People are expecting them that if they can get past
the
Milwaukee,
team that they're playing isn't forgetting.
right? But I feel like people are looking at Arizona going, okay, even if they get past Milwaukee, well, they're going up against the Dodgers, and they couldn't get it done against the Dodgers in the regular season. I agree with that extent to an extent, but man, the Dodgers are a young, fun team that doesn't have anything to lose. They are playing with their hair on fire. Yes.
The D-backs or the Dodgers? You said the Dodgers.
The D-backs, sorry.
Okay.
Arizona's got Corbin Carroll, who has been sensational to watch. His rookie season has been fantastic. I love me some Lourdes Gurriel. That dude is just energy, and I
How long has
love
that
it.
dude been in the league?
He's been in the league for a little bit now.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say. I swear to God, that dude's like old. I've heard his name a lot, so that speaks within itself.
Well, you might also be confusing him with Yuli Gurriel.
No, he plays for Houston. I know who that is.
Yes, he does. I'm saying if Arizona gets past Milwaukee, they're going to the NLCS. I think they're going to have something behind them that is going to just push them forward.
Nah, I think it's gonna be like they're gonna win their first series, and that's gonna be fine and dandy for them, and then they're gonna get shit on by LA.
Going with the Cleveland, New York approach.
They're going to beat seriously, they're going to beat Milwaukee, and that's going to be a great accomplishment for them. Build on it for next year, and then they're going to get shit on by, maybe not shit on, maybe they take them to 7 games, like you said, the Cleveland, New York approach, which again would be great for them. 5 games, right? But I don't think there's any way they get past LA. I don't think there's any way they take more than 1 game from LA.
It's just so interesting to see where we're at and how this season played out. I don't think any of us had this bracket figured out at the start of 2023. And it's exciting. And this is why we enjoy the game. And this is why we play all 162, unless you're the Miami Marlins and you play 161 and a half.
It's damn near perfect, except for Texas not winning their division sucks, because fuck Houston. They could have just not made it. That would have been great. You know, the Yankees didn't make it. That's fucking awesome. The Red Sox didn't make it. That's fucking awesome. The Mets, who I don't hate, didn't make it, but I don't hate the Mets. So, I mean, whatever. You know, you got some other teams making it, which is cool. I'm mad Like, I love me some Milwaukee, I do, but I think it would have been cooler since he would have gone in. I think a lot of people think that, but they got a lot to look forward to. So I don't think Ellie is quite the Bryce Harper yet, but I think he's definitely on his way there. Um, you want to talk about a memory? I'm not going to forget the day I heard about dude stealing all four bases in what was it, 2 pitches?
One at bat.
That shit's crazy. Yeah, but it was only like 2 pitches. Like it wasn't even like one at bat. It was like 1 or 2 pitches.
It's truly phenomenal.
Because
And I think
from third to home, the dude didn't even throw the ball. He just turned around like a dumbass, and Ellie just ran home real quick. So
I mean, I love watching.
that shit was crazy. That shit was crazy. I was like that. Like I remember, like you want to talk about like a memory because I was like that must be like a typo or something like that. Like what?
Those are the
What
best.
did I just read? I don't. I'm gonna have to look at this. Like I don't understand. And I just remember watching it, going like, that's insane. Just like Jose stealing home just for us to lose the fucking game because we're trash.
Uh, yeah, that was a
See,
little bit
that's
of a.
what sucks. That's what sucks. Is Jose did that shit too, but we lost that game. So
Well, we're just about done here tonight on Double Play CLE, but one thing
you
we
see your
always like to
boyfriend?
do is end with a little bit of positivity.
We're not gonna talk about football at all.
Do you want to talk about football?
I mean, we can touch base on it real quick. There's not a whole lot to talk about. If you're a Browns fan, you know Nick Chubb is injured, so Deshaun Watson didn't play last week, and I guess people are pissed off about that. I don't even know who the fuck that quarterback is.
Dorian Thompson Robinson?
Sure, Donovan Peoples-Jones, whoever the fuck our quarterback was. I have
He's a he's a rookie quarterback who got thrown into his first game unexpectedly and laid an egg.
Why did we get rid of Jacoby Brissett?
We didn't necessarily get rid of him. He got signed to another team.
Because we got rid of him. I mean, we could have signed him back.
Yes and no.
Anyway,
it would have cost more than it was worth. You don't pay backup quarterbacks.
I was actually pretty optimistic going into the season. Well, I wouldn't say optimistic. I was actually completely the opposite. I was more apathetic. But within the first 3 weeks, I was actually a little optimistic. I don't think we should have lost that Steelers game, so that sucks. But the loss
That's
to the
the
Ravens
one that got
this
away.
week, the loss to the Ravens this week is the one that sucks. The loss to the Steelers is whatever, but we could have gone on with that if we were 3-1 right now and leading the division. But losing to Baltimore without scoring a touchdown.
Look, it didn't help that Dorian Thompson Robinson threw 3 picks, 121 yards.
That was the other thing is I had my buddy Joe. He was like bragging in the Discord, and I didn't say anything because I didn't want to cause like an argument or anything. You know how it is when you're talking about football. But I was just like, you're really gonna like I'm mad we lost that, but you're gonna brag about the fact that we lost that game with some quarterback that I guarantee you half of the people who watch football had no idea who the fuck that guy was. I would vouch to say 3/4 because I've never even seen that guy's name before. Now, for the people like fucking Jeff who does fucking NFL drafts 5 years ahead of time, yeah, I'm sure he knows who he is. But
Sorry, that got me too. That was good.
But I did not know who that was.
I think the most disappointing thing about that game, Lamar Jackson only had 19 attempts and completed 15 of them with 2 touchdowns and 186 yards. So it's not like he was out there throwing the ball like crazy. He was literally just precision. Everything that he threw went where he wanted it to go. Not to mention the fact his rushing was phenomenal for the average quarterback. And let's not kid ourselves here. The run game was not going anywhere for the Browns. Jerome Ford had 9 carries for 26 yards. Kareem Hunt, 5 carries for 12 yards. It just wasn't really there for the Browns. And
Well, I don't think
maybe that's a product of Kareem Hunt needing another week or so to get himself back up to speed. And he's got a bye
I
week
could
to do
stop
it this week.
coughing. I could tell you my fucking point. Oh, but I can't. The week we lost Chubb, we had 150 rushing yards still between our 3 running backs. I don't know if the Ravens just got a good rush defense or if we just had a bad game. But I'm actually not as concerned about our rush as I thought I was. It was Jerome Ford, Kareem Hunt, and Jones. I don't know who the other guy is. But they had 150 combined. So I don't know if this week was just a fluke or if we do need to be concerned. But who do we face this week? I guess we'll find out this week.
Well, this week we're off because it's a week 5 bye. And if I can pull it up here, hang on a second. I got it.
Week
here.
5 bye has got to be the worst.
No, I thought about that. I think I'd rather have a week 5 bye. It's early in the season, so yeah, you can kind of get everything going. Make sure that everything's
everything.
Yeah, because you look at who the division is, the conference facing here. We've got Bengals at Cardinals. That's going to be, good luck with that. Baltimore is in.
Cardinals haven't been such the pushover that they thought they were going to be.
Both teams are 1-3 and struggling right now.
I didn't say they weren't struggling.
That's fair. The Ravens are in Pittsburgh, so that is a huge battle in the AFC North. There's going to be a hell of a shakeup. Pittsburgh could potentially beat Baltimore.
What about the Bengals sucking, though?
It's stunning. It's absolutely stunning.
Bengals sucking ass. Like, not even sucking. Like, they're sucking ass.
But then the Browns come off the bye week hosting the 49ers, who, as of right now, are undefeated 4-0. That's going to be a war.
Yeah,
you're going to have to really put on your big boy pants to win that one, because also keep in mind, the Niners next week are hosting the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. That's a 3-1 Cowboys team against a 4-0 Niners team. That game already is going to be big. And if the Niners come out of that 5-0 and come to Cleveland, that's a tough task for any team, let alone a team that just got it handed to them and couldn't get the ball going on offense at all.
What the hell was I just going to ask you? Oh. How do you feel about Watson 4 weeks into the season? 3 weeks, whatever it is. No, it's 4 weeks.
It's 4 weeks, but we only have 3 games to show for him, first off. So he didn't play the whole season.
Well, I don't know what the whole arm thing is, but he's getting a lot of flack for that too. That like he didn't
apparently
need to
was
take
medically
off
cleared,
or something like that.
Yeah. The general argument is he was medically cleared and chose to sit out. Said that he had some sort of, I think, fatigue was what they were saying.
Well, all I gotta say is,
good luck with that in the AFC North.
If Baker Mayfield's sitting one of these games, but we would still have him as a quarterback, I would have told him to sit 100%.
Unfortunately, Baker Mayfield did not have the week that he was hoping for in Tampa last week. I believe they got beaten pretty badly. See if I can find there. There it is. 26.
He'll bounce back. The Toy Story game was cool.
That was fun.
I'm kind of mad. I thought they were having it tonight, and the kids were all excited for it. And then I was like, oh wait, I guess it was just yesterday. They were like kind of mad at me for it. I was like, I'm sorry, it's not. I thought it was on tonight.
I'm sure you could find it on YouTube.
We can, but I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch a game that I already know the outcome. I wanted to watch I was actually, they're doing something with that because it gets the kids interested. So
Well, credit to
they need
Disney
to do it
and
every week, to be honest, because then it's
Nick.
also another way to air another game.
Well, Nickelodeon has been doing something very similar in
Yeah, the
engaging
slime zone or
youngsters.
whatever. Yeah.
Slime Zone, NFL Slime Zone. And they actually were broadcasting a kids-friendly version of at least one NFL playoff game in the last 2 years. I'm sure they're going to keep that up because it was also very popular. Honest to God, I watched that more than I watched the actual game that was happening because it was more entertaining.
As an adult, I'll even take away the fact that I have kids. Just as an adult, it's I guess it's kind of cool to just see something different. So that's my opinion on it.
Innovation is always exciting. In something like that, it's fun. I would love to see the NFL go the extra step and make a Madden version of this game. Like make
Yeah,
it
that's
kid
not going to
friendly.
happen. That's too much.
I know it is, but that'd be fun. Be
All you
damn
have to do is
fun.
put it in Madden.
Eh. You want to leave that in the hands of EA Sports because I don't.
Well, it's in the game.
Oh my god. Do you want to gloat about your undefeated Eagles at 4-0, by the way?
Nah,
Because that is your NFC team, the Philadelphia Eagles.
I know who my team is. I know what their record is. I'm not doing no talking this year. We did all
Oh
that
my god.
talking and made it to the Super Bowl and lost. I don't want them to do any talking. I don't want to do any talking. I want to see them win fucking football games and go back and win again. Like that's where I'm at with the Eagles. No talking, just football.
Still on pace for that Cleveland Philadelphia Super Bowl then?
Um, I don't know about that. However, I am absolutely who I always loved in the first place is DeAndre Swift, and the dude's having a breakout season, which is very unsurprising to me, because I always thought he was really good in Detroit. He was just stuck in a like a 3-man cycle, and B, he was hurt here and there. So to see him really find his spot in Philadelphia is great for me because if you know me, which not saying everybody does, I also like Detroit teams a lot, especially the Lions. So I welcome DeAndre Swift to the Eagles. Again, we're just sorry,
59
we're just
carries, 364 yards, and 2 touchdowns this season so far for DeAndre Swift with the Eagles.
Well, yeah, man. If there's one thing I have to complain about on the Eagles, and it's not even complaining about the Eagles because it's still winning, but Jalen Hurts is kind of selfish, man. Freaking DeAndre, I'll watch that game, and DeAndre Swift will run it all the way down the field, some 70, 80 yards, just for Jalen Hurts to hit him with a QB sneak and get a 1 yard rushing touchdown. Which, I mean, hey, that's the name of the game, right? It doesn't fucking matter as long as we're winning football games. Do you care? Because I don't. But you know, I could feel that a little. I don't know. Like the dude's like on this. DeAndre Swift is on the bench with the fucking oxygen mask on. Jalen Hurts is like, "Let's go, yeah, let's go," and dude's like, I don't know, like.
Just sorry that I had that image in my head as soon as you said that. Okay. Before we get out of here, it is our favorite thing to do at the end of every episode. We like to do my one thing. We like to leave a little bit of positivity. I'll let you start. What is your my one thing for this week here on Double Play CLE?
What are we talking about?
Just something positive to end the show with.
God, I don't know. I really don't know. No, especially because I'm not too. I mean, the Guardian season's over. I'm not too confident in the Browns, like as much as I thought I was. Who do we play this week? Or you said we don't?
Bye week.
That's me filling my cat's water bowl. I'm not peeing.
This live is going completely off the rails, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't really have anything like. We'll say. Well, I can't even. I can't say anything about the Guardians. I can't say anything about the Browns. I don't know. Both. I don't know. I don't have anything. Trick or treating goes well this weekend at the camper for me with the kids.
Okay.
Nope, I lost you.
Okay.
I lost you. I don't know what's going on.
That's fair. I'm
Hello?
here, and
Okay.
I'm here. Yes. Goodness gracious. All right, I have one here. October is Down Syndrome Awareness Month, and the Pile Driver podcast has a member of their family, Cam, who is this wonderful, radiant ball of energy, and he does have Down syndrome. And all this month, the Pile Driver podcast has a really cool logo, and they're going to be shouting out Cam and anybody who is dealing with Down syndrome, and not turning it into this horrible thing where people are sad for people who have Down syndrome, but celebrating how wonderful these young and old individuals truly are. And if you would like to make a donation to the National Down Syndrome Society, you can go to ndss.org and find out more about Down syndrome. Personally, I've been around Cam a couple times now, and the big dog Dean is just fantastic and seems so just radiant whenever he's around that young man. And it's just an infectious energy and a happiness and a joy that we all really need, especially now, because we don't know what's next for Cleveland sports in terms of the Browns, the Guardians, the Cavaliers. So a little bit of positivity, a little bit of energy, a little bit of happiness and hope, I think goes a long way. And a shout out to our boys, Dean and Mike at the Pile Driver podcast. They're doing their thing. You can download their podcast on all your social media platforms and podcasting platforms, or check out the live video here on YouTube. They're actually doing several bonus interviews. I think they did 2 last week, and they have been all over the scene on the indie scene for wrestling, doing their thing, getting the word out. It's been awesome. And I'm happy for them. I know you are as well, Justin, because those are our boys. And they're part of the Believe Land Media family. So we're happy to see our own represent.
So you could have just led with that.
I could have, but I wanted to give you the floor. That's what a good host does. A good host leaves the floor open.
Yeah, but you made it awkward and left radio silence where you could have just said, "Hey, we got one good thing from the both of us this week." So now you made me look like a giant jackass and then selfishly plugged yourself.
I didn't plug myself.
I mean, you kind of did.
I wanted to help out our boys, and
okay, well, it's simple enough. I'm down with that. So me and Justin, we both this week for our one good thing are going to support Dean and his ploy or his whatever for. But instead, no, you ask me a question that I can't answer because none of our fucking teams are playing.
Oh man.
Oh wait, the Blue Jackets are playing. Hopefully they win their game.
This has been fun. All right, so
and hopefully Houston loses in their first round.
So you want them round. So you want them to go out in the ALDS 3 games, boom, 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 down to either Minnesota or Toronto. Well, I'll leave you with this.
Oh, that's tough. I wouldn't want.
If Minnesota beats Toronto,
I wouldn't want it to be Minnesota.
So you're okay with Houston beating Minnesota, but you're not okay with Houston beating Toronto?
I'm trying to think of my hatred levels here.
Oh my God.
I see, logically thinking here, I would be okay with Minnesota beating Houston because there's no way Minnesota makes it to the World Series. And if they make it to the World Series, there's no fucking chance they win the thing. So, because the only reason I would not want Minnesota to beat Houston is if it meant Minnesota goes on and wins the whole thing. So I would prefer Toronto to beat Minnesota and then beat Houston. Then I'm all in on Toronto. I would have no other choice.
I love that you had to.
If it goes Toronto Baltimore in the finale, that's gonna see if it goes Toronto Baltimore LA Milwaukee, I would be 3,000% okay with that.
Well, LA
Like,
and
I wouldn't.
Milwaukee will beat in the NLDS. They would have to. One of them would have to advance to the NLCS.
Oh, okay.
It
So
is interesting because you just
I would
created
want
a
LA
1-6
over.
You just created a 1-6 battle between the top seed and the low seed in the American League for the ALCS. That would be unprecedented.
I guess I don't really care. The NL, I guess I really don't care. I really don't. Now that I think about it, I don't mind. I like LA. I don't mind. I don't really like Atlanta. I like I said, I don't know. I can't tell you why. I just don't like Atlanta. I don't know. So I wouldn't want them to go. I don't know where Miami is.
5C.
I know. Who are they? NL?
Yeah.
Because I don't really care about them. So if they wanted to go, they could. I like Philly. Yeah, the only team I really don't like in the NL is the top seed, which is shitty. So for
So,
me,
what are the chances of a Baltimore Toronto, of a Baltimore Toronto Atlanta Arizona Final Four?
0.
All right. So, if you're a betting man, Justin just gave you plus odds to make that happen there.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen.
I mean, there are a lot of same game parlays that people are trying to hit on with plus odds that are just like, what the hell were you thinking kind of games. It's just the nature of betting. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of episode 15 of Double Play CLE. We have been live on YouTube. We hope you have enjoyed yourselves. If you have, drop a like, follow, do the whole 9 yards on social media from YouTube to Facebook to Twitter. Sorry, now that's X, although I don't know if it's actually X. That's a whole other can of worms to get into. Download the podcast on your favorite podcasting platform and tell your friends because we're going to keep doing it until the wheels fall off. For Jay, who is on remote, currently running up the staircase, it looks like, I'm Paul.
Trying to stop from
Have,
pooping myself.
boy, if that isn't the best way to end this show, I don't know what is. Have a good afternoon, evening. We'll see you soon.